shocking allegations. An Alberta First Nations chief charged with sexual assault.
He has no intention of stepping down.
Plus, a court takes a look at a referendum on separation.
And what they're saying is the era of pay up and shut up has got to come to an end.
As the federal Conservative leader offers his view. And going nowhere with air miles.
Well, I thought air miles didn't retire. They said they don't expire, they can retire.
The loyalty program that turned out to have few rewards.
CTV Calgary, local breaking news. With Tara Nelson. Reporting tonight, Ian White.
Good evening, and thank you for joining us. The long-term chief of the Tsuut'ina First Nation has been charged with sexual offenses. Police say the assaults took place decades ago, and they say there may be more complaints. Stephanie Thomas joins us now from near the First Nation. And Stephanie, police say the victims were members of the Tsuut'ina First Nation.
Ian, Chief Roy Albert Whitney of Tsuut'ina Nation has been charged by Edmonton police with 2 counts of sexual assault. He denies the allegations. Whitney's lawyer tells us that CTV tells us the 71-year-old turned himself in to Edmonton police. They say that last November they began investigating an incident that allegedly occurred in that city around the West Edmonton Mall in 1994. The complainant is a man in his 30s. Now, police say they soon learned of another incident from 2005 by another man in his 30s in the area of Stony Plain Road and 178th Street. Both men are members of the Tsuut'ina Nation. In a statement, Whitney denies any wrongdoing and will remain chief. He says, I unequivocally deny these allegations. They are false and without merit. I believe in truth and due process, and I will fully cooperate with any lawful proceedings to ensure the facts are made clear. Until that time, I ask our citizens and the public to withhold judgment and avoid speculation. Now, I spoke with Whitney's lawyer, who says the allegations are baseless, and I also spoke with a sexual assault support group that says it's important for victims to come forward, no matter how long it's been.
He has no intention of stepping down. These allegations, again, shouldn't take the nation's eye off their business that they're supposed to be doing. And I look at it this way: anyone who's put this much of his life into the nation to build it up to what it is now certainly doesn't want to be seen as someone who's going to back down from a fight, and he's not that kind of person.
We know that there are disclosures of historical abuse every day. We see it every day. We have people that come in who were abused, 30, 40, 50 years ago. Yesterday, being told that they're, that police are receptive to hearing from them, I think is a really positive thing.
Now, as per my conversation with Whitney's lawyer, Jim Lutz, he says that Whitney has no plans to step down his role as chief, a position that he first held in 1984, and he was re-elected in 2014 and has held that office since. Now, Edmonton police believe there also could be more complainants, and so they're asking for anyone else who may have been affected or may have more information to share to contact them. Ian.
Stephanie, thank you very much. Calgary Police homicide investigators have officially taken over a years-old missing persons cold case. Officials revealed Thursday they've identified human remains found outside of the city in May of 2024, and they suspect foul play. Tim Brooke has more.
Robert Stanley Mainland, also known as Bobby or Bubbles, was last seen in January 2023 near this Forest Lawn convenience store. The 65-year-old's disappearance brought on extensive searches that ultimately came up empty. Until now.
We believe that Robert was the victim of foul play and his death is being investigated as a homicide.
Calgary police say human remains found outside of the city in May 2024 have been identified as Mainland.
Due to the state of the remains, it took several months to positively identify Robert.
Police won't say exactly where he was found or when they think he was killed, but the homicide unit did say his death is likely not connected to any other investigations.
We are continuing to investigate every lead that we have in relation to this, and this will not stop until we find out what happened.
On social media, the Mainland family writes about enduring a horrible nightmare over the last 2 years, but they write they now have some closure knowing their brother has been found. But the work isn't done. Police want help from Calgarians, specifically those in Forest Lawn.
And it's our belief, that there are people within the community that may have direct knowledge of his disappearance.
And Tim joins us live tonight with more. And Tim, investigators know someone out there can help.
Well, listen, Ian, it's been 2.5 years, but police are still very confident that all it will take here is one person remembering or one person stepping forward with a little bit of information to really crack this case wide open. And so tonight, that's the call to the public. If anyone watching tonight has information about what exactly happened here, they're urged to contact Calgary Police or submit an anonymous tip through Crime Stoppers.
Thank you, Tim. Residents got out unhurt when a fire broke out in a home in Crescent Heights this afternoon. Fire crews put it out quickly and prevented it from spreading to neighboring homes. Investigators say it started in the basement and spread from there. Gina joins us now with the first look at the weather. We got a brief rainstorm passing through the west side of town up here, and just a sampling of the active weather through the city today.
Exactly. I kind of like to call it the opening act to the big event that's going to happen tomorrow. Actually, I have a time lapse here that just restarted of that earlier afternoon storm that moved through. And yeah, it was brief, but it certainly did pack a punch to many quadrants of the city, including some small sized hail, and it certainly cooled things off out there. We aimed for a high of 21, but it looks like 19 degrees is the best we're going to do, because that's what we were at before the storm moved in, and now we're sitting at 14. This is a look at our radar satellites right now. Lots of lightning with those systems that moved in earlier, and this is where we're at now. So more storms possibly on the doorstep throughout the evening here. Storms should start to dissipate later tonight, right around 9-10 o'clock. But then, like I mentioned, the main event, the rain, is coming in tomorrow morning. So I'll have all those details coming up.
Thanks, Gina. A possible referendum question about Alberta separation was part of a special court hearing today. At the request of Alberta's chief electoral officer, a judge is now considering whether the question violates the Constitution. As Alicia Fielberg reports, experts say this is the latest obstacle in an uphill battle.
While some wonder whether or not Alberta should separate from Canada, the person in charge of Alberta elections wonders whether the wording of a proposed referendum question should even be allowed on a ballot. The province's chief electoral officer asked a judge to weigh in on whether or not it violates the Constitution.
This is nothing more or less than an attempt at delay, and from our perspective, it's an abusive process.
The question proposed by separatist group Alberta Prosperity Project: do you agree that the province of Alberta shall become a sovereign country and cease to be a province in Canada? The Premier and Justice Minister pushed back against the electoral officer, now saying Alberta's government believes that the proposal is not unconstitutional and therefore should be approved and permitted to proceed.
For a first time in the history of this province, and probably in Canada, Premier and the Minister of Justice, who's a lawyer himself, have decided to direct the Elections Commissioner on what he should and should not do.
Well, we don't think that the province is lining up on our side with this matter. They're simply saying that there's legislation in place that's clearly intended to have Albertans vote on issues of public importance.
And that's why Luke Hasek has his own petition underway to ask whether Alberta should remain in Canada rather than separate.
The vast majority of us want nothing to do with it. We want to focus on what's good for Canada, what's good for Alberta, and frankly, what's good for Canada internationally.
While in Calgary, Canada's Conservative leader suggested focusing on the energy sector instead.
And what they're saying is the era of pay up and shut up has got to come to an end. Alberta deserves a better deal within Canada. And one of the ways we make that happen, one of the ways we unite our country, is to produce our resources.
Experts say the battle over the possible referendum questions is just a sample of the long, expensive process separation would involve.
There are exit routes out of Canada, but they would be painful, protracted, and unbelievably costly to the people of Alberta in ways that this province has to have a serious conversation about.
Alicia joins us now. So, Alicia, what's next?
Well, Ian, the judge will be back next week on Thursday to determine whether or not this question violates the Constitution. Also, the people behind the two possible questions need to gather enough signatures on their petitions.
A retired Calgary physician and vocal critic of water fluoridation has been sanctioned by the College of Physicians and Surgeons of Alberta. Dr. Robert Dixon heads the group Safe Water Calgary. He was sanctioned related to comments on fluoride in the water supply made in 2017. The college found Dixon impugned the credibility and integrity of specific medical and dental colleagues. Dixon acknowledged that his conduct was unprofessional. He must pay part of the cost of the investigation, totaling more than $6,000.
You're watching CTV News, Calgary.
A Calgary arts organization is launching a new competition aimed at putting Canadian plein air painting on the map. The public is invited to see the magic unfold this weekend as the artists paint live on location in Fish Creek Park. Kevin Green reports.
Whatever. That's it. Doug Levitt isn't just painting, he's scouting the terrain along Fish Creek. He's one of the judges in this weekend's inaugural Canada Paints plein air competition.
We're hoping that it will grow and grow because there is a plein air circuit in North America, but it doesn't touch Canada particularly.
8 juried artists face off to complete a painting in just 4 hours. The scene kept secret until the competition starts. It's all part of a push to raise the profile of plein air art in Canada. The president of Canada Paints Plein Air says the group's vision goes beyond just this weekend and outside our city.
We want to make sure that more people are aware and build a Canadian presence in the plein air painting practice.
Levitt says Calgary, with its mix of urban parks, ranchlands, and mountain views, is the perfect place for plein air artists to thrive.
Calgary should be a plein air mecca. It should be a destination for any plein air artist, period.
Painting outdoors brings its own challenges, changing sunlight, fast-moving shadows, but it also invites the public to experience art as it's made.
I think there's an immediate fascination watching something being created in real time. Like there's a depth to this as an audience member that is absolutely fascinating.
Anyone can take part in the competition as a wild card artist by signing up on site Saturday morning. And after the judges make their picks, everything created that day goes on the auction block.
People will just come and they can just buy the piece and just have the cool feeling of knowing they painted that 2 hours ago, or they painted that 1 hour ago. Like it's trippy. It's very fun.
The event is Canada Paints Plein Air's first ever competition. The group aims to make it an annual event and hopes to see similar competitions across Canada. Kevin Green, CTV News, Calgary.
Some beautiful work in a beautiful location. The Calgary Zoo has welcomed 2 new litters of Vancouver Island marmot pups. They are amongst Canada's rarest mammals and were born through the zoo's specialized breeding program. The Wilder Institute Zoo staff built habitat resembling the marmot's home in the wild, allowing the pups to be born underground. In the 1990s, only 30 of these creatures remained. Thanks to conservation efforts, there are 350 in the wild. He thought he had been a loyal Air Miles customer. Still ahead, why the points he had collected suddenly vanished. And kids just need to be exposed to something new to spark a passion, the program that could tee them up with a new sport. Also, if you have a news tip, text us at 10400.
3, 2, come on, just grab. There, just got it. Hooks in hand, hold here.
Dramatic video of 2 climbers being rescued from a sheer rock face in BC. A helicopter hoisted the climbers from Yak Peak near Hope. The pair was left hanging in their harnesses following an accident on the mountain late Tuesday night. It took until Wednesday morning until search and rescue crews were able to safely reach them. A Calgary man is speaking out after his Air Miles account was drained of nearly 25,000 points. He says the loyalty program never warned him that his account had become inactive, even though those points were worth close to $8,000. Now he's calling on the company to make things right. Mark Villani reports.
Todd Woodbeck has been collecting Air Miles for over 30 years, but says his longtime loyalty was erased in a flash.
I was very angry. Very angry. I mean, I picked up the phone immediately and called Air Miles.
Woodbeck says he hadn't used his Air Miles card in some time until earlier this year when he swiped it at a Shell gas station. He got 2 miles for that purchase, but when he logged into his account, nearly 25,000 points were gone. The equivalent of about $8,000 vanished because of more than 2 years of inactivity. Woodbeck had also spent over $1,500 buying extra miles for travel, now all lost.
I mean, come on, a loyal customer for 35 plus years.
Air Miles confirms the points were not expired, but retired due to inactivity. To maintain an active account, collectors must earn, redeem, or transfer miles within 24 months. If no activity occurs, the account will be considered inactive. As part of our commitment to transparency, collectors are proactively notified before any changes to their account status.
They have my address, they have my phone number. I never got anything in the mail. I never got a call.
Loyalty rewards experts say cases like Woodbeck's aren't uncommon, but they serve as a wake-up call for all collectors to stay engaged with their accounts.
I tell a lot of people to treat their loyalty program accounts kind of like their bank accounts, that you should be checking them, relatively frequently. And it's not just for the expiry, it's even for fraud.
The warning comes as other programs also make big changes. Starting January 1st, 2026, Aeroplan will base points on dollars spent rather than distance flown.
People have to learn about the changes to see how it affects them as far as their spending habits.
But Woodbeck hopes his spending didn't go to waste, encouraging others to stay vigilant and calling on Air Miles to reimburse him.
Do the right thing.
And Mark joins us live from Northwest Calgary. So, Mark, what else can consumers do to avoid situations like this?
Well, Ian, loyalty program experts say the easiest way to avoid losing your points is to stay active on your account. Even a small gas purchase or perhaps donating some of your points to charity could help reset that clock. If you know you won't be using your account for some time, you could also contact the company or the loyalty program provider in the hopes of letting them know in advance. Perhaps they might even be able to reinstate some of their points. That is the hope for people like Todd Woodbeck. He is hoping to get those 25,000 points back. We did contact Air Miles about this. They would not comment as to whether or not that could happen at this time. Ian.
Mark, thank you. Donald Trump says billions of dollars will flow into the U.S. thanks to new tariffs. In many cases, American consumers will pay the price for tariffs levied on more than 60 countries. There's already backlash against the Trump administration as countries decide to move away from trade with the U.S. Mike LeCouture reports.
Yes, we're having discussions with the Americans.
Prime Minister Carney wouldn't say when he'll next speak to U.S. President Donald Trump, but Ontario's premier didn't mince words when asked about how Canadians see the American leader.
He's probably the most disliked politician in the world in Canada.
In an interview on CNN, Doug Ford tried to explain to Americans that these tariffs are hurting them.
When you see 37,000 Americans have lost their jobs, that can't pay the rent or can't pay a mortgage, put food on their table, and this is just going to grow even more.
A new report from Yale University shows the current tariffs will hit American consumers.
We're expecting an adjustment of about over $2,000 to, their real household income and sort of purchasing power.
The impact could be felt in back-to-school shopping, as the tariffs will make shoes 40% more expensive, and the price of other clothes will rise by 38% because of import duties. Meantime, the impact on Canada's economy is being measured by the Royal Bank. In June, 92% of Canadian exports crossed into the U.S. duty-free because they are covered under the current trade agreement, leaving 8% subject to punishing tariffs.
That portion of trade is unfortunately facing an average tariff rate of 30%.
Still, the overall impact on the Canadian economy is relatively small at this point, but sectors like steel and aluminum continue to suffer. While campaigning ahead of his by-election in Alberta, Pierre Poilievre criticized Carney's handling of the trade talks.
He's been bending over backwards for the president and so far has gotten nothing in return.
Now, Prime Minister Carney continues to say he will speak to the U.S. president when it makes sense, but there is no clear indication of exactly when that could be. Mike LeCouture, CTV News, Ottawa.
And citing Trump's tariffs, Toyota is predicting a huge hit to profits, the biggest the industry has seen. The Japanese automaker expects a loss of nearly $14 billion on cars imported into the U.S. Toyota also cut its expected full-year operating profit by 16%. Industry rival GM projects a tariff loss of $5 to $7 billion, while Ford expects a $4 billion hit. Girl Guides of Canada is halting all trips to the U.S. starting this September. The organization says the decision was made to ensure the safety and inclusion of all members. Some Girl Guides are not Canadian citizens and may face challenges at the border. The suspension applies to all trips, including those that were already approved.
This is CTV News, Calgary.
All right, Gina, you've got a lot going on, and you're keeping your eyes peeled for a possible tornado.
Yes, we have been seeing funnel clouds developing to the south of us on Highway 2 there. And just like you mentioned, Ian, a tornado watch is now in effect for the Claresholm area. I'll show you that in just a moment. Temperature right now in Calgary is at 15 degrees. This is the non-time-lapse look behind me here. So this is what it's like currently over Calgary. And you can see a second wave of storms possible throughout the next couple of hours here. Lots of watches and warnings in place right now. Calgary's under that severe thunderstorm watch. Was under a warning earlier, may happen again, but just recently we got that tornado watch in effect for Claresholm there. So people affected could be about 3,700. What you need to know with these tornado watches is you don't want to be outside, obviously, or close to windows. Get as many walls between you as possible, because obviously the threat that comes with tornadoes are the very fast winds that can throw debris around, and you just want to make sure you are secure and safe and not out in the elements while this event is happening. Here's our radar satellite, so you can see a very powerful looking cell has developed in the Claresholm area, and it can happen so quickly. Calgary could be a similar story, and a lot of these places that are near Highway 2 could see very similar storm development. We're seeing a transition in direction as well. Now our storms, they were before coming out of the southwest. Now it's the northwest, so that's what we're keeping an eye on. It's part of this massive system that's over Alberta and Saskatchewan right now. You can see it extends to the states and does that massive counterclockwise direction. So what we're expecting next is all that rain that's to the north of us right now. In fact, look how it picks up over the next 24 hours here. We should see these storms tonight dissipate at around 9 o'clock, but then that main rain event really starts to intensify during that morning commute as early as 6 a.m., picking up right around 9 a.m. tomorrow before it tapers off. A little bit of an earlier start if you're closer to the foothills in that Banff area. Higher elevations could even see mixed precipitation from this system. And then Lethbridge is going to be a little later on for you. We'll walk through the futurecast in our next hit here and get a closer look at just exactly when and how much rain is going to fall. But here's a look at the next 3 days for you. So the rain is here for Friday, cools things off, but that sun working its way back into the forecast for most areas starting on Saturday. And we get a nice steady stretch of conditions really right up until Tuesday there, where more rain could start falling, on Tuesday night. And your 5-day forecast is brought to you by Action Furnace.
Thanks, Gina. All Sport One Day is back, encouraging kids to try new sports. Two-time Olympic medalist Kasia Grushala-Wazirski on hand at South Centre Mall to show off her accolades. Kids also getting the chance to try fencing, one of 50 sports on offer during the one-day event. Another former Olympian says the event is a great way to try something new.
You can go to like 4 different sports throughout the city in the day. There's 4 different time slots, so you could do 4 different sports in one day for free. Kind of dip your toe in, see what's interesting to you and your family. I think it's just a great way for Calgarians to get active.
All Sport One Day is on August 16th. Online registration launched just a few minutes ago. You can find out more info and sign up at sportcalgary.ca. There's a new top cop in Alberta coming up, the officer who is taking over responsibility at the RCMP. And working with robots, these students have bright careers ahead of them. Why, surprisingly, artificial intelligence isn't necessarily the answer. Lethbridge police have charged the driver of this semi after it got wedged under the Whoop Up Drive bridge yesterday morning. The bridge and the equipment being hauled were both damaged, and the road was closed for hours. The torch has been passed within the Alberta RCMP's K Division. Trevor Daru, a former deputy chief with the Calgary Police Service, has been named deputy commissioner.
We know that we can't serve the community unless our people are taken care of. So we're going to work very hard to ensure that our people have the support networks that they need to have. And secondly, the other priority that we have that's equal to that is our communities. It's our communities that decide whether they're safe or they're not.
Alberta RCMP's newest commanding officer retired from the CPS in 2017 and spent the last 8 years with the Mounties. He comes into the role after serving as the province's criminal operations officer. Daru takes over command of K Division from outgoing Deputy Commissioner Rob Hill, who spent 27 years with the Mounties.
We police 75% of Canada's landmass and about 22% of the population. That strength alone of getting the message out to law enforcement that's covering 75% of this country is a strong message.
Daru adds that although governed by a national body, his officers take pride in catering to the policing needs of each individual community in Alberta. From Roomba vacuums to drones, robots are playing a bigger role in our lives. And as Martin McMahon reports, students at UBC in Vancouver are at the front end of that innovation as the school holds its annual robot competition.
From penguins to pandas, the rescue mission is on. Physics engineering students competing in this year's annual UBC robot competition, tasked with saving as many stuffed animals as possible from an imaginary fire in a 2-minute window.
Going through this course, I just realized how fun it is to apply all the concepts and how it's just amazing how much you can do and how fast you can learn.
The robots are autonomous. Some have even been programmed using artificial intelligence. And while some rescues were pulled off seamlessly, other animals weren't so lucky. Building these robots, an exercise in patience and problem solving.
You have all these different parts, right? And you work really hard to make them work each individually. And you're like, okay, so they all work well, right? Like this launching mechanism, it works well. The claw, it works well. The driving, it works well. And you're like, okay, surely we're done, right? You put them together, you just get a cacophony of issues.
Some teams opted against AI, using technology that is more established, with sensors similar to those used in self-driving cars like Teslas.
We were gonna use an AI component. If you look down here, we have a Raspberry Pi mounted, and we were gonna use computer vision, but it didn't end up panning out.
So we decided to go with our IR detection because it was simpler and faster to iterate.
Beyond the technology, the robots name a critical component.
We called it the rat trap, inspired by the torsion springs we're using, reminiscent of a mousetrap contraption.
It was supposed to be a winner team name, like mousetrap sounds like mousetrap, but rat trap sounds like more official,
Many of the students are expected to go on to careers ranging from quantum computing to spacecraft design. But what they've done to rescue these animals here today will not soon be forgotten. Martin McMahon, CTV News, Vancouver.
From the farm to the construction site, Caterpillar is a big name. Next, the Alberta community that is celebrating the brand's 100-year anniversary. They're bright yellow, instantly recognizable, and this year, Caterpillar is marking a key milestone. The company behind the heavy-duty construction equipment is 100 years old. And as Kevin Fleming tells us, Pioneer Acres near Irricana is celebrating that achievement this weekend.
Volunteers at Pioneer Acres are moving equipment around the property to get everything ready for their 3-day event. It's the 55th annual show, and every year it features a different brand of machinery. This year it's celebrating a century of Caterpillar equipment.
The company started 100 years ago, 1925, but they didn't start from scratch. They were the merger between two competing companies, Holt and Best, and Mr. Holt had actually got a patent and invented the the track system for the tractors. Because where he was selling tractors, they had the kind of soil that wheels didn't work very well on.
Ole Olsen spent a career working on the big machines and remembers fixing one that was hit by a train. He says they were built well and are powerful.
The D8 there, you're looking at an engine that's probably, I'm not 100% sure, but it's probably it's over the 300 horse. But the torque on it is astronomical because of the tracks, the gearing. So yes, they got tons of power.
The museum also has about 40 antique trucks like this Ottawa with a Cat engine that Harry Redding says is in perfect working condition.
Diesel engines in highway transport started in the late 20s, early 30s, but really didn't become popular until the 1950s. You started to see them more in transport trucks in the United States and here in Canada.
The museum covers a large area, and while it's filled with historic equipment, there are also other exhibits about southern Alberta farm life for visitors to learn about.
We have a wonderful Singer sewing machine display this year. There's an awesome quilting display. We have a bake sale, fresh baked buns. Yesterday, they were busy baking buns in the kitchen.
Organizers say there will be close to 5,000 people attend the event over 3 days. Kevin Fleming, CTV News, near Irricana.
In the battle between a black bear and a Pomeranian, who wins? You might be surprised.
Wow.
Scout, the Pomeranian, chases a bear out of this Vancouver house in record time. The bear had simply wandered into the home and checked it out, but Scout was especially peeved when the bear got into his food. Ooh. Kayla Klein posted the security video on her TikTok page. And did you see the bear there? It seems genuinely frightened of this little dog.
Well, one thing we've learned, don't mess with Pomeranians.
No kidding.
Don't do it.
Wow. Incredible. A halftime event at a WNBA game turned out to be more exciting than the game itself. In the middle of a baby crawl race, this little one decides to get up and walk for the first time ever. Ada has just turned 1. She wins the race and hearts by walking into her mom's arms.
Well, apparently Ada likes the audience.
Yeah.
A big audience, right?
That's what got her going. She was motivated.
Right?
You could sense it. Perfect timing. Well, isn't it frustrating to get stuck in traffic? It might be a bit more tolerable if this is the kind of gridlock you deal with. Daycare Center's daily walk got off to a tricky start when another stroller came from the opposite direction, sending their 4-seat stroller drivers to try their best to make room. The end result? Cuteness overload.
I don't want any of them driving, okay? I'm just saying that's...
Not in parking lots, at least.
This is great. We got babies and strollers. We got crawling babies that start walking. Great segment there. Well, he led the Oklahoma City Thunder to the NBA championship this year. Still to come, Canada's Shai Gilgeous-Alexander is honored by his hometown.
Welcome back. Happy Thursday. More gloomy clouds on the horizon there through this one Skywatch weather camera that we have. Here's the thing. If you want to know something about me, I love a good weather time lapse. So if you missed the one from earlier in the show, I got another one for you here. This is just more from the southeast, showing those earlier afternoon storms that moved through and definitely brought pea-sized hail to some parts of the city, like the southeast and the northwest, I believe. We're sitting at 15 degrees currently. Today's high, 19. That's all we got to. Unfortunately, we're aiming for a forecast high of 21. Didn't quite make it there because of those storms that moved in. So we're below seasonal right now, and that trend's going to continue as we head into Friday as well. Temperatures just in the high teens for most areas, and we are still under a severe thunderstorm watch right now. Good news, though, that tornado warning that we were talking about a little earlier in the show has lifted, but still seeing those isolated isolated storm cells throughout parts of the south right now, especially on Highway 2 there. Closer to us here in Calgary, what I'm paying attention to is what's happening to the northwest there, but I'm seeing while it's heading in our direction, it's dissipating. So we might not see much more severe weather tonight. Should wrap up any severe storms by around 9 this evening. And then we're waiting for this. We're picking up here on our Futurecast at 2:30 in the morning where this rain is right on our doorstep, and it starts to move in as early as 6, 7 o'clock in the morning, right as many people are possibly heading to work. Then it starts to drift more south into the Lethbridge area as we get into the early afternoon. But expect here in Calgary those scattered showers throughout the day, strong winds out of the north, anywhere from 20 to 40 kilometers an hour, and that potential for some more thunderstorms later in the evening tomorrow as well. And then it starts to clear up nicely finally as we get into Saturday. Taking a look at your 24-hour forecast brought to you by Action Furnace. Fixed right or it's free. Tomorrow's high, Ian, just 17 degrees.
Thanks, Gina. The leader of the Tsuut'ina First Nation is charged with 2 counts of sexual assault. Chief Roy Whitney has been charged by Edmonton police for historical sexual offenses against 2 men. Whitney issued a statement denying the allegations. Calgary police confirm a man who's been missing for more than 2 years has died, and his death is considered a homicide. Robert Stanley Mainland, better known as Bubbles, was well known in his Forest Lawn community. And a special court hearing began today to determine whether one possible referendum question on separation should be allowed. The hearing comes at the request of Alberta's chief electoral officer. Hamilton is honoring one of its native sons today. Basketball superstar Shai Gilgeous-Alexander got the key to the city. Not only is he an NBA champion, he was the league's MVP in the regular season and in the playoffs. John Musselman was in Hamilton today.
So thousands gathered here for what was called Shai Rally Day. Shai Gilgeous-Alexander is not only one of the best basketball players in Canada, but also considered by many as one of the best basketball players in the world. And he grew up right here in Hamilton, going to high school at Sir Allan McNabb. Now today at the rally, they were celebrating the fact that not only did he win the MVP championship, he was also the playoff series MVP and the league MVP. His family was here to join him there with all the fans to show the trophy that they won this year. And also there are accolades from some of the people he grew up, talking about his determination, his passion, and everything that this city means in helping his development to reach the top.
Growing up, as I traveled across the world to countless states, cities, and countries, people always asked me where I was from. Some of my teammates and friends would opt to say Toronto, obviously, because it was more a recognizable city, and they didn't want to have to explain what and where Hamilton was on the map. I took pride in letting everyone know I was from Hamilton.
Today, he was given a key to the city by Mayor Andrea Horvath. And again, tonight, he will be honored during the Hamilton Tiger Cats BC Lions football game with a special tribute. John Musselman, CTV News in Hamilton.
It's a sport that requires excellence in 7 different disciplines. Just ahead, the local athlete with Olympic hopes in the heptathlon.
Everyone sticks to go, eats, sleeps, and drinks basketball. Yeah, every single day, play every single day, go to every single tournament. They even go to the States for tournaments.
Athletes are now competing at the 2025 Alberta Indigenous Games in Edmonton. Some early action today included basketball, soccer, ball hockey, and softball. Today marks the first of a 10-day competition that features more than 7,000 Indigenous athletes competing in 18 different sports. What a ride it's been for Victoria Mboko at the National Bank Open in Montreal. Glenn is back with us, and Glenn, she has just wrapped up the women's singles final.
Ian, Mboko began the year outside the top 300 in rankings. Now she becomes just the 4th Canadian to reach the women's final at the Canadian Open. What a meteoric rise. The final, she was facing former #1 women's player, 4-time Grand Slam champ, Naomi Osaka of Japan. First set, bit of a struggle for Mboko as Osaka takes it 6-2. But the 18-year-old, she's a battler. Second set, She was able to break Osaka multiple times and wrote to taking that set 6-4. So we were tied at 1 apiece. Let's go to the third and final set. And Mboka continues to break Osaka up 3-1. Osaka's shot here a little heavy, and Mboka goes up 4-1. She was in control. Match point now. Osaka with the serve, and she will make another mistake into the net. Victoria Mboka. There we go. Gotta say it. Mboka is the women's champ at the National Bank Open. What an unbelievable story. Absolutely incredible. She is now ranked 25th in the world. Airdrie's Sienna McDonald continues to rack up the wins in track and field. The latest came at the Canadian Championships in Ottawa.
Come on, Sienna. Come on, Sienna. Come on, Sienna. Let's go.
UFC track star Sienna McDonald just got back from Ottawa, where she was on top of the podium once again. McDonald won the gold medal in the heptathlon.
It felt pretty good. It was a really long 2 days. The atmosphere was nice on the track, but the energy after hurdles was quite low with the girls, so we kind of had to bring it back up for the rest of the meet. Yeah, it was a great experience.
This is McDonald's second gold medal at the Canadian Track and Field Championships. She also finished first in the heptathlon back in 2022. Competing in that sport isn't easy. It's grueling for 2 days, and it takes its toll both physically and mentally.
I would say it's a bit of both. I mean, it's like fairly draining mentally. As I said, like the days are really long. It's like trying not to like wear yourself out and trying to get as much break in between events as you possibly can. Physically, it's always going to be tiring, so you just kind of got to roll with the punches.
McDonald's just about to turn 23 years old. Already having 2 Canadian titles under her belt is quite the accomplishment. But she says it's not all about her.
It's been a journey, you know. It's kind of the group that I have backing me here in Calgary, family, friends, my coaching staff and IST. They're really the ones that are pushing me through it.
McDonald's next big goal is to qualify for the Summer Olympics in Los Angeles in 2028. There's a lot of work to do, but McDonald feels she's on track to get there. But she's also realistic.
It's a difficult one because, like, obviously there's a ton of really great athletes out, like, worldwide, and it's just trying to push through, and heptathlons are hard because not everyone goes perfect, so it's like when one event goes wrong, it's coming back and trying to continue bringing that momentum through. Yeah, it is the end goal, so we'll see if I can get there, hopefully.
McDonald says she's now going to take a well-deserved break at the lake. She's going to enjoy herself and get rested up. Okotoks Dogs opened up the playoffs last night on a winning note. The Dogs beat the Brooks Bombers 11-4 to take Game 1 of the 3-game series. Now, if the Dogs win tonight in Brooks, they move on to the WCBL's West Division Championship. If they lose, the third and deciding game will be played tomorrow night in Okotoks.
And of course, the only thing that could mar a baseball game is a little bit of rain.
Yes.
Hey, Gina?
Yeah, they're probably keeping an eye on the forecast, but luckily the rain should start dissipating later tomorrow afternoon. So fingers crossed they can still play that game if they need to tomorrow. I know we don't have a lot of sun in the forecast for the next 24 hours, but Graham Bond helping us out here with this lovely shot of a sunflower for your weather window, brought to you by Lux Windows and Doors, crafting quality windows and doors for your style, budget, and Alberta's climate. We might have a bit of more instability for the next couple of hours here, and then it calms overnight, but then the rain will begin tomorrow morning. Cool temperatures, high of just 17, but that sunshine back for at least a little bit starting on Saturday right through till about Tuesday evening, when we could see a little bit more rain back on tap. So enjoy the sunshine for the weekend while it's here.
It looks like a really exceptional weekend too. Thanks, Gina. Thanks very much for watching. Have a great night.